and happy Thursday, March 16th, 2023, and welcome to a 316 edition of what we like to call the Clash of Le Champions. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Kurt Cadet, and this man over here needs no introduction, but he's probably going to give you one anyway, so take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is tag team partner Jonathan Randall. And ladies and gentlemen, the red carpet is still rolling to Hollywood, still rolling to WrestleMania. And Kurt, let's get started.
Yes, the card is shaping up as we had SmackDown this past Friday as well as Raw this past Monday, where certain matches are kind of being basically set. As of Monday on Raw, it is official. Edge and Finn Balor will face each other at WrestleMania inside Hell in a Cell.
Okay, two sides to this. Number one, as a fan, when I go there, I'll finally get to see my very first ever Hell in a Cell match in person. Kurt, have you ever?
I've seen 4 Hell in a Cell matches in person, 2 of them being at WrestleMania.
Yeah, this will be my first time. Now, on the journalistic side, look, I understand that they have like a history of a feud with each other between Finn Balor and Edge, but I honestly just believe that I don't think the feud is not hot enough to have a Hell in a Cell match. Like I can understand if it was like a steel cage match, but for a Hell in a Cell, I don't know if it's that heated. The feud is that deep enough to have that type of match.
Well, I'll say this. It has been a good feud. It's been a very long feud also, going back to last June.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that I don't think it has that kind of intensity and heat that it would be warranted for Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, you're right, man. And it's kind of like, I mean, is it really necessary? You know what I mean? I'm just being logical when I say that. And I'm not saying the feud is bad, but it's not that big enough of a feud where it's like, okay, this match has to be in Hell in a Cell. You know what I mean? Like I said, I can understand if it was still cage match. That's understandable, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you are right. I'm a bit surprised too that the feud has lasted this long since June of last year. So we'll just see what happens.
Overall, I think it'll be a great match regardless, but more than likely, I think this is going to be Edge's last WrestleMania.
I believe it.
Yeah, and it's funny, I just sent you something a few minutes ago about how Undertaker didn't find out until years later that Edge refused to beat him at WrestleMania in 2008.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram a couple days ago. Yeah, I watched that. Yeah,
Smart move, though. Smart move.
Yeah, because Edge respected the streak. He didn't have it in him to do it, and I absolutely respect that. I think anybody else in that position would have did the same thing.
Yeah, that also, and also the fact for the way that story was going into that match, and especially considering it was the main event, it would have been a real bummer if Edge ultimately ended up winning in the end.
True. Yep.
Yeah, I was watching 24 actually on Monday.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, great show.
Hmm.
But you could definitely tell like the changes in WWE, the negative changes were starting to show.
Oh, I see.
But let's get back to this Mania card real fast. So in addition to that, it is official. We are going to have Brock Lesnar and Omos at WrestleMania. And they did have a segment on Raw Monday that did not go the way it was supposed to.
How so? Because I watched it and it was kind of like, so, I mean, they shook hands and Lesnar was like about to leave, but Omos still had a grip on his hand. And then was it the part when he was about to throw Lesnar over the top rope and it didn't look like he went over? Or was that the spot? Or
that's the part, and you can tell the audience wasn't happy with it either.
Oh man,
it's like, yo, we're already not really interested in seeing this match, and something like that to go the way it did, it already kind of confirmed our concerns.
Well, somebody on Twitter already said something about it already. That was Ice Cube's son, O'Shea
Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the dude has a name.
I was just about to say his name.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, he says something about it. He wasn't really too hype about the match, and then Omos kind of, chimed in, and yeah.
He was like saying, yeah, you guys said the same thing about my match with Braun Strowman. And like O'Shea's like, yo, it's nothing personal, man. It's just my opinion. And like Omos is like, I'm sick of people hating on me. I'm sick of people talking all this shit. And hey, bro, it's nothing personal, but just from the stuff we've seen on TV of this feud and of him specifically, you can't blame us for like not having the highest expectations for this.
True. I just it goes back to the feud with Lashley and Lesnar, because I said to myself,
Yeah,
this
that
feud is not
also.
over. That the
Yeah,
feud is
that's
not
another
over.
issue.
Yeah, the feud was not over, and then they just let's just end the feud, and let's put Lashley versus Bray Wyatt and Lesnar versus Omos. Like, you guys never finished the feud, and then it may be Lesnar's last WrestleMania, and pretty much his last run in WWE, and you didn't really finish it.
Yeah, this whole thing kind of felt like just thrown together. And yeah, like I said before, I think last week, like it wouldn't surprise me if Vince had like a say in this, or like maybe Triple H made this match to throw Vince a bone. But hopefully, fingers crossed, those surprises.
Yeah, it wasn't done properly. Just
And admittedly, Omos had a good match with Strowman at Crown Jewel last year. Admittedly, that was good.
yeah,
But realistically, what other good matches and like things that you've watched him in have been good besides that?
nothing. Even with his feud against Lashley, I really didn't. I don't know.
Oh yeah, he wrestled Lashley last year at Mania.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of him and O'Shea going at it was kind of giving me vibes of Kevin Durant and Charles Barkley.
Good lord.
Shit. Yeah, Durant went off on Barkley recently saying how I think Charles Barkley was a great player. He was a legend, but he sucks as an analyst. And he's like saying, yeah, just how you say it's not personal, and you're allowed to have your opinion about me. I can do the same about you when you're analyzing.
Wow.
I feel like he kind of just said that stuff just to get back at him.
Mm,
I mean, maybe he does really feel that way, but yeah, at the same time, I feel like he just mainly said that just so he could like say, "Oh, I feel the same way about you too." Ha 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 ha.
yeah, it's just being petty. Just KD, just not a. I don't know. He needs to focus on getting his ankle better.
Yeah, that's so crazy. He got hurt again. He just came back and he got hurt again.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. Ever since he left the Warriors, really, it's just been a mess ever since.
I know, and remember that him going to Brooklyn really wasn't not entirely his fault. I mean, he went there hoping and thinking that, okay, him teaming up with Kyrie Irving would be, a good suitable team for him, but apparently it didn't turn out to be that way.
Yeah, and then James Harden coming there, you kind of thought for sure, oh yeah, these dudes are gonna win a title. It's a wrap, and they never even made it past the second round.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that'll go down as one of the biggest busts and like one of the biggest letdowns in NBA history.
true.
Besides the time they had Kobe, Dwight Howard, and Steve Nash and the Lakers together.
Hmm.
All right, but switching gears, let's get back into this Mania card. What might not be happening at Mania anymore is Bray Wyatt and Bobby Lashley, as Bray Wyatt hasn't been seen on TV in several weeks, and he even missed the Madison Square Garden house show this past Sunday, and supposedly that was due to physical reasons. And the match with Lashley is still on as of now, but it's still
What?
not. But it's kind of up in the air right now.
That's weird. Huh. And we don't know exactly, is it? The physical conditions of Bray Wyatt, do we?
No, it just said it was a physical issue, and there was another story coming out that like he was sent home due to creative issues and creative problems, but I guess that turned out to be bullshit. But I will say, over the last like a few weeks or so, I would say like getting closer towards Royal Rumble, his whole character hasn't been as interesting,
It
and his whole
hasn't,
character
and
just felt weird and not in a good way.
well, it doesn't feel like authentic. If there was one word to describe it, it's not the same as I hoped it would be when he during his first run of the WWE. I don't know. It's just, you're right. It doesn't feel the same. The direction of the character is just off. This feud, just similar to Brock Lesnar and Omos, is off. I was saying to myself, like, okay, if let's say if the match doesn't happen, so I mean, what does that happen? I mean, what happens to Lashley? But apparently, the match is still going on. So, and I don't know when Bray Wyatt's going to be back because we're pretty much we're like 2 weeks away, almost, right?
Yeah, 2.5 weeks away. And I will admit, some matches have good builds, but there are other matches where I'm like, yo, what the fuck are they doing?
Right, because it's not done properly.
And I will say I feel like the two biggest matches that are guilty of this are the women's title matches on both shows.
Yeah, I mean, I really stunned and sad to hear that because I mean, every year, Kurt, the women's matches have had great build-ups and great matches.
Well, not every year.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as match quality or build-ups.
Build ups. I'm talking strictly build.
Okay,
Strictly build.
or but just most of them.
I do believe that both matches will still be good at the end of the day. I think both matches will still deliver, but just the road to getting there these last few weeks has not been it.
Mm.
Especially the Asuka and Bianca shit. The Asuka and Bianca shit is just weird. It doesn't. The match doesn't really feel special or like a big deal.
Because you have two baby faces, that's why.
It's not even that, bro. That has nothing to do with it. Just the shit they've been doing with them on TV. Asuka like pretends she's gonna spray the mist in at Bianca, and then she just like splurts a little bit of it out, and then that's just the end of the segment.
Mm.
Nah. I will say this in a way. This kind of feels like a step below for Bianca this year compared to the last two Mania matches she had.
True. And then as far as Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, I'm not seeing a whole lot. That's why in our last episode, I was saying how I have a strong feeling that the tag match between the Usos and eventually Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, that will be the main event for night one.
I think it should be too, but from what I'm hearing is that Charlotte and Rhea is going to be the main event of night one because of something involving their sponsors.
Okay. But I mean, back to what I was saying, I mean, I'm not really seeing a whole lot with this feud. I really am not.
Well, they have a few more TVs to make us more interested in the match. Hopefully, they do something that sparks it up. But as of now, yeah, they haven't been doing much with either women's title match feuds. And
Yeah.
but the Charlotte and Rhea thing, the good one thing that it does have going for it is the fact that it does have that backstory of how Rhea lost to
Yeah.
Charlotte at Mania a couple years ago, and now she wants her
Yeah.
payback. So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, they have that going for it, and I do think it'll be
Yeah.
great. I think both matches will still deliver at the end of the day, but the road to getting there has been a little eh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I mean, I like the back storyline because they have a history with each other, so that puts some emphasis into this build up. But at the same time, I'm not really. It's kind of
Yeah, but I do also forget, and I think a lot of people forget sometimes that even the Sasha and Bianca match 2 years ago, for as great as that match was, the shit they were doing with them on TV in the weeks leading up was mad whack.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Really, yeah.
Yeah, the bill for that whole Mania as a whole was kind of weak.
Hmm.
I mean, ultimately it turned out great, but I'm just saying in general that sometimes, like,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of cases where, like, that build going into it, you forget how bad the build was because of how good the show turned out. But realistically, that
Yeah.
build wasn't the greatest.
It wasn't a good build with some of the matches, but you know that Mania turned out to be really great, and quite honestly, that's probably one of my favorite Manias from this era.
Yeah, but I have faith that they have a strong enough card where, like, even with the bad build, they'll make us forget about it by the time the show starts.
True. Like Triple H said, quality over quantity.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. And also, back to Bray Wyatt real fast. Yeah, this whole character's just been weird ever since Royal Rumble time, like with that dumbass Mountain Dew match they did at the Royal Rumble. And yeah, just these hokey ass promos and hokey ass skits.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, no wonder why
Hmm.
Brock Lesnar turned this down.
2016, yeah, it would have okay, but he got hurt. I remember Bray Wyatt was hurt, but yeah, just like I said, man, I'm not feeling it. I was hoping that when you came back, okay, great, we're gonna see actually a Bray Wyatt that's used more. That was the one I was hoping for, but it's not the same, man. Nothing has changed.
Yes, unfortunately it has it, but some of the matches that do have good builds going into Mania are, yes, the Usos against Sammy and Kevin Owens. And despite that they've only done one segment for each of these matches so far, Roman and Cody I think still looks interesting, and also Theory and Cena.
Oh yeah.
And Edge and Finn Balor's have had a good feud, even though you don't think it should be a Hell in a Cell match. The feud has still been solid for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And although it has not been made official yet, Dominic and Rey Mysterio has been fun to watch.
It has. It's I kind of some of the stuff that Dominic says. I kind of like really, but it is kind of like it's humorous.
He's like, yeah, instead of getting me a Mercedes, you got me a BMW, and not even the really cool kind.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I
Oh
kind of said to
shit!
myself, "I'm like, oh, he probably was complaining because the BMW was used, not new."
And talking about how Rey Mysterio like wasn't there for his birthdays or his soccer games. I'm like, bro, you probably never even played soccer.
Oh, you see what I mean?
But Dominic on Monday officially made the challenge to Rey for WrestleMania, and Rey refused. And Dominic continued to talk his shit to him as Rey walked away. And looks like they're still stretching this out a little longer.
Yeah.
But it's happening.
This kind of reminds me. This kind of reminds me of Taker and Flair from WrestleMania 18, where Taker challenged Flair to WrestleMania, and Flair is refusing, and Taker's keep pushing his buttons, until eventually Flair accepted the challenge. So I feel like that's what's going to happen with this one.
It reminds me of that, and also it reminds me of the Undertaker and Kane feud from WrestleMania 14.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
How for months, like Undertaker refused to fight Kane, he refused to touch Kane, and then after Kane set his ass on fire in a casket, he was like, "Yeah, fuck this shit," fucking his ass up
Yeah.
on sight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which speaking of which, I actually watched the Kane biography the other night. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, on A&E.
Yeah, the Kane biography.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, got into a lot of stuff. I never realized he worked in the independents for so long before like he really got his break.
Oh, that's not a surprise to me. I mean, and most of the wrestlers back then had to, so I mean, not a surprise to hear that. If I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
and Bret Hart spoke. They even interviewed Bret Hart for it because Bret Hart worked with him when he was doing the Isaac Yankem character, and yeah, Bret Hart even
Oh
said,
yeah, I remember that.
yeah, they talked about that shit.
I remember that. How can I forget about that?
I think he'd like to forget about that.
Yeah, Jesus. I just look back at the wrestling back then. They had the most just random just characters that you saw. Like, oh, they always did like just random characters that you saw, man. Like you always saw like a warrior character or some. I can't even think right now of how many stuff that they did for each wrestler back then.
Yeah, it was an occupation. You were a trash man. You were a
Yeah.
plumber. You were a cowboy.
Yeah.
You
Oh
were a
my god.
bartender.
Yeah. Like I was watching WrestleMania, like one a couple of days ago, and in WrestleMania 3, I was just like, man, I was just so many random like different like characters. And I was watching WrestleMania 4, I saw the same thing. Like I saw a bunch of cowboy gimmicks and like it was man. Oh boy.
Yeah, the gimmick era, bro. Especially in '95. The problem with was in '95 that shit was played out by then. Like
It
in the
was
'80s, they can get away with those gimmicks, but by like that mid '90s period, you're
yeah, I
like,
was like, come
bro, get
on.
this shit out of my face.
Like no more.
Yeah, the Isaac Yankem character ended up being a flop, and he even like was frustrated with it to the point where like one time he had a match with Undertaker, it didn't turn out well, and it was kind of because of him. And Undertaker even had to get in his face about it, saying like, "Yo, you need to chill with your attitude, bro. Like you're fucking my shit up now by acting this way."
Mm,
And Undertaker even told him straight up, "You need to be more of an asshole."
really?
Not in a bad way, like not being an asshole in a bad way, but just being an asshole in the sense of like speaking up for yourself, etc. And then yeah, they talk about the fake Diesel character, how even though the character was stupid, he did a good job with it.
Mm,
How like he adopted the Diesel mannerisms and the moves and all that. Like he pulled that part off well, even if the character was a dumb idea.
hmm.
And then they get into like when he debuted as the Kane character and how in many ways that shit was like a make or break moment for him.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah, because those characters were flops, and he spent like years on the independent scene trying to make a name for himself. Hell, he even tried to play football, but he injured his knee like when he was in college, so it didn't work out.
I didn't know you played football.
Yeah, like right when he was about to, I think, get drafted or go to the NFL. Yeah, he injured his knee, and then they told him like, "Yo, you can't play."
Damn. I wonder what college you went to.
Yeah, I think probably somewhere in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, they interviewed his wife. They interviewed the Undertaker. They interviewed JBL. Yeah, they interviewed Bret Hart.
Hmm.
Also, like Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, a few other people. Yeah, they talk about the feud with Undertaker going into WrestleMania, how great of a build it was in their whole feud. Also, the Inferno match, and then when he won the title from Austin at King of the Ring,
Hmm.
that's when you knew that character made it. Specifically, was when he, even though the title reign only lasted for a day, that's when you knew that character had, like really made it.
I feel it. Well, I gotta check it out.
Yeah, then the team with the Undertaker, the whole Brothers of Destruction stuff, and then also when he goes into the whole comedy stuff, like in 2001 when he starts to become more of like a comedic relief. Like that one time he did that Chef Boyardee commercial, and then he's trying to eat the ravioli, but then he can't because of his mask.
Oh Lord, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
shit, that was
yeah, yeah. I remember
hilarious.
that.
That shit was
Jesus.
hilarious.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yo, I give him credit. He was funny as fuck during that period, that 2001 period.
Yeah.
And like when he did the Hogan impression,
Yeah.
and then they get into when he finally
Oh my
unmasked and
god.
how like whether or not that was a good idea. And the two people who knew that it would work were him and Vince, and pretty much that's all that mattered.
Okay. It's crazy that was in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and it was 20 years ago this year. That
Yeah, 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 yeah.
that shit was so surreal. Like I kind of wanted it to happen for years, but deep down maybe thought it wouldn't. But then when it finally happened that night, I'm like, fuck, this dude finally took his
Yeah.
mask off.
I think it overstayed its welcome just a little bit too much. I think I didn't mind him taking a mask off though, but I felt like it kind of overstayed a little bit too long. Where I was happy that he came back with it in 2011, but I think I wish it would have happened a little bit sooner. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, but I did like that Kane character afterwards, like when he was running through everybody, like he set JR on fire, he attacked Linda McMahon.
Yeah, that. Oh, yeah, that, like that part, like that. Yeah, like that 2003 up until oh, like 05. When he's feuding with Edge and all that, and but that's and 06 was okay, but I think afterwards, I think okay, you could have went back to the mask.
I would agree with you, but the only thing I didn't like during that period was that whole feud with Matt Hardy and Lita. Like that shit was not my cup of tea.
It was a bit weird. I'm being honest. Yeah,
Very
it
weird.
was.
Nah, but that 2003 shit,
Oh Jesus.
yeah, but that
Oh
2003
man.
shit he was doing was dope. Like it like really kind of breathed new life into the character.
Yeah. Fresh new makeover. Yeah.
Yeah, and they talked about like him like eventually becoming the mayor and like all the stuff that he's up to now. They like go behind the scenes with him like visiting like an elementary school or something. Yeah, I mean, look, I,
Hmm.
I probably wouldn't agree with his politics and his political views, but with that shit aside, he's always seemed like a decent guy, and like people have always said that about him.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, but any event, let's get back to this Mania card. Also, last Friday on SmackDown, they had a multiple person match to decide the number one contender for the IC title at Mania, but Sheamus and Drew McIntyre scored pins at the same time, so that kind of
Yeah.
puts the finish up in the flux. So what's gonna happen is tomorrow night on SmackDown, they're gonna have a match to finally decide who's gonna face Gunther at WrestleMania.
So it's probably gonna end in a no contest. That's probably what's gonna happen to set up a triple threat.
Which I don't mind, but from what I understand, Drew McIntyre has been dealing with like a stomach illness the last few weeks,
Oh,
but he's still
that
been working
sucks.
through it.
That's good though.
Yeah, they're saying like they really look at Drew McIntyre as kind of like a locker room leader and like somebody who's very reliable.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, he was actually on the Kane documentary. They interviewed him and Sheamus, and they were both kind of saying how they kind of wish Kane had never taken his mask off.
Yeah.
How they were kind of
Okay,
disappointed when
yeah.
it happened.
I feel it. I feel it.
But yeah, I feel like that will be a great match. That three-way, I think it'll be one of the better matches on both nights.
I got you.
Yeah, but I do feel for some of these people who are going to get left off the card this year, probably like Johnny Gargano and Bronson Reed, Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I feel for them though, but the thing is though, you haven't because you really haven't. They haven't really, well, really haven't been plugged into
I
anything.
get it. I understand.
Especially Bronson Reed though, especially for Bronson Reed. You know what I mean? But like I said, you can't have everybody on the card. Like it just you can't like do that because it makes the show longer. And like I said, it goes back to that old saying, quality over quantity. You can't you just can't do it.
I think they could still do the battle royal at
Like
least, like on the pre-show. Like, who gives a fuck about the pre-show? They could just have the
I
battle
understand.
royal there.
I understand. Yeah, I mean that was something they always done. But yeah,
Is what it is. But yes, 2.5 weeks away, and Roman is gonna be on Raw this Monday to confront Cody.
oh lord, oh
Cody had
shoot.
a good promo on Raw Monday, actually.
As always.
After he beat LA Knight, he mentioned that Roman now needs to acknowledge him.
Will he? If he beats them?
He's not gonna have a choice if he does.
We've been waiting. Well, I've been waiting. I want to see not just with Roman, it's just with anybody, any character. You always see them when they're at their highest, but what are they like at their lowest? How would they react to it? What do they do after? You know what I mean?
Well, you can argue Roman's lowest is probably like WrestleMania 31 when he lost the way he did, and also that period afterwards.
Yeah, I know though, but like I think him losing the title, Kurt, especially with the long title reign that he has right now, this will be the lowest. And that's the point I'm trying to get to is that how is he going to react to it and how is he going to handle it and what he's going to do after. That really defines the character. That's really going to define Roman, in my opinion.
I think we'll find out in 2.5 weeks because I believe it's time.
Yeah, that like we always want to see people at their highest, but man, what is it like without it? You know what I mean? That's like the biggest question.
It will be weird seeing him without those belts. It definitely will be a.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen to him? What's going to happen to Paul Heyman? What's going to happen to the bloodline? You know what I mean? A lot of questions.
I remember the original Degeneration X came to an end at WrestleMania 15, and we could possibly see the same thing with the Bloodline come this WrestleMania.
Yeah, because you got to remember the Usos are going to be in there too. So there's a lot. There's a lot at stake, Kurt. So there's a
U-
lot.
Usos are dropping those belts. So Usos for damn sure dropping those belts.
Yeah. Yeah. They are definitely.
They've been the tag team champions almost 2 years now. Holy shit.
Damn. Do you think once Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens win it, do you think they will change the belts?
We'll see. I'd like to see that, but we'll see.
Me too. Hope. Every time I look at those original tag team belts from back in the day, I just like, damn, why did they? I wish they could just bring that back.
Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Like, please.
Yeah, I hear you, man. But John Cena recently made some comments about the whole Vince McMahon scandal and the allegations, and this is what he had to say. We all have poor decisions. Lord knows that I've made my collection of poor choices. That doesn't mean I'm not going to love somebody. There's no way I can go on record and say I don't love Vince McMahon.
I mean, he's being honest though, but I gotta remember, Vince has done a lot for him in his career. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think him being honest, and also you gotta remember, he's just really thinking about like, look, like everybody's made mistakes, but he's kind of like gotta remember Vince has been there for him and done a lot for him in his career. You know what I mean? To get where he's at now.
Yeah, I saw that
But
some people were upset at the fact that he said what he said, but I'm like, what the hell were you expecting him to say? Like, oh, fuck Vince McMahon. I hope he rots in a prison cell. Bro, you know John Cena's not that kind of person. He's never been that kind of person to, speak out against Vince or speak out against the company or in a sense like bite the hand that feeds him. I'm not gonna knock him for what he said or like be angry about what he said because it's basically what I would expect his response to be. And considering that like Vince basically provided the life for him that he has now and like opened the door for him for that. I mean, what would you expect him to say?
true, true.
And I've said before, you could still think that what Vince did was wrong and he deserves to be held accountable for it. but still, acknowledge the good things he's done and the ways he's been there for people and the way he's been there for, and John Cena's case, been there for him. So yeah, I get that aspect of it.
Right.
I'm sure him and Vince are still friends and all that. So I mean, he's not gonna speak out against his friend that way. So it's not a surprise.
Mm, right.
Yeah, it is what it is. But also, this past Tuesday, it came out that the Bella Twins will no longer be known as the Bella Twins, as they are officially done with
The
WWE.
Garcia
And yes, they will be
twins.
now known as the Garcia Twins.
Yeah.
I should have known something was up by like the things they were saying about WWE lately, and also the fact that they were backstage at AEW Revolution last week. So yeah, it looks like they're done with WWE now and doing different things.
Well, it is what it is. So I mean, that Bella twin was created by WWE, so they really kind of shows that they has that cut ties, so they're going by their original names. So hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird calling them the Garcia Twins now. Total Garcias. Hey, but more power to them. They've come a long way since they initially debuted. I think they were a part of that Diva search back in the day, weren't they?
What, the early years?
Like 2006, 2007 ish, one like that neighborhood. I wasn't watching at the time, but I don't know which year it was
I
specifically.
don't. I mean, the two that really hits my mind is '04 and '05. I really don't remember '07, and I don't think they did one in '07.
I think they did one in '06, maybe. Yes, maybe it was in '06.
Maybe I don't honestly don't remember '06. So it's mainly '04 and '05 are the first 2 years that really
Yeah.
come to my mind though. But yeah,
Oh man, those segments they had in '04 were so horrible.
I don't. Oh man, I don't.
Um,
Oh boy.
I remember one segment where like Chris Jericho had all the divas like destroy Eric Bischoff's office, and you could hear the audience like booing and shitting all over the segment.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. 2004 was like one of those years where I was like really strongly considering not watching wrestling anymore before I officially stopped.
Well, thank God you stuck around 2005. Jesus, I just
Yeah,
wish
definitely. Yeah, I agree.
I just wish you would have held on for longer for '06, just so you could see the feud between John Cena and Edge.
I get it, but I was at a point where I was like, yo, I think I need to see what my life is gonna be like without this stuff.
It's okay. I mean, my turn came in 3 years later, so.
Oh yeah, I would have definitely been done by that point. By that '09 period, I would have definitely been like, yeah, fuck this
Wait,
shit.
what do you say?
I feel like I would have definitely been at that point by '09. Like if I kept watching like in throughout '06, by like '09, I would have been like, yeah, I can't watch this shit anymore.
Yeah, I was done after Backlash, Kurt. I was done after Backlash. Like, even though that was a good pay per view, but after that, I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, that 2009, 2010 period, especially, I'm like, yo, I'm so happy I stopped watching during this shit.
I know, because you remember when they had the celebrity guests on Raw every week?
Yeah, that bullshit.
Yeah, I was hearing about that. I was like, dude, thank God I stopped.
The Piggy James angle, the whole product and the whole temperature of the show that period, like it just like felt really off and really
Oh,
just corny.
it just made me
Corny. Yeah, corny is the
cringe.
best way I could put it.
Yeah, it really made me cringe. I was like, I can't watch this. I was like, I'm so glad I'm not watching this. Granted, I remember okay. I did watch an episode from Raw in 2010. It was the week before WrestleMania because Stone Cold was on there. That is the only reason why that I watched it.
Oh, speaking of which, happy 316 day. Yes, it is 316 day.
Right.
And that would have been the one 2 weeks before Mania where I think Brett and Vince were having a contract signing, and then Brett revealed that he wasn't hurt the whole time because like he made Vince think for weeks that like he had a broken leg, but it turned out it wasn't broken. He was just
Yeah,
baiting him to sign the contract for the match.
man. Yeah, I that was like the only time that I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch Raw because Austin's in here, and I remember that episode was in San Diego, so I was like, okay. And then, of course, Michael's last, his real retirement speech on Raw, that. But other than that, Yeah, done.
I was actually tempted to order that WrestleMania 26 because of the Shawn retirement match, and then Brett was back. Also,
Oh.
Cena and Batista looked
Mhm.
interesting, and Jericho and Edge looked interesting.
Yeah, that feud was. I like that feud. Yeah, and it's funny. Originally, they were supposed to have that match at WrestleMania 25, but Batista was hurt.
Yes, I remember you told me that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in any event, but unfortunately, with the Bellas, they were kind of a part of that era of WWE that people don't really look back on as fondly.
No, I, Lord.
Although they were influential, and a lot of women say they wouldn't be in wrestling now if it weren't for them. I get that, but they were kind of
Yeah.
faces of like the women's division during a period like where it wasn't treated the way it's treated now,
Hmm.
and especially with that butterfly belt.
Yeah, I did not like that belt. Yeah, but
It is what it is, though. More power to them. They've like made great lives for themselves in the years they've been in WWE, and built their own businesses, built their own brand, and I respect that. I really do.
hmm
So best of luck to
yeah.
them. What was a lot of fun to watch was the bar mitzvah and birthday party for MJF last night on Dynamite.
That was a good segment. Look, look, look.
I've never seen a bar mitzvah in wrestling before, so holy shit was I
Hell
looking
no.
for a
And
treat.
then I'm gonna right, and I'm gonna tell you like this. I saw pictures of his bar mitzvah when he was 13. I was like, wow.
He said he lost his virginity that night.
I was like, what? That was his bar mitzvah when he was 13?
Hell yeah.
Sheesh. Dude, doing it big. I was like, okay.
And he was doing it pretty big last night. He had the girls come out. They like picked him up on the big chair and everything and did the dance. The shit was
Yes.
wild.
Yes. It was. It was too funny. Oh
And
man.
since they were in Canada, yeah, he had to take a shot at the legend Bret Hart, talking about how Sean was better.
Oof. What part of Canada were they at?
Winnipeg,
Oh, Jericho's hometown.
Jericho and Kenny Omega's hometown. Yes.
Wow, wow.
Yesterday, Jericho was like doing a bunch of stuff throughout the city, like promotional stuff.
Oh yeah, he was yeah, yeah, I saw I was looking at his story. He was at some bar and there was a bunch of pictures in his the bar he was at. So yeah.
They named a street that he grew up in Winnipeg after him. Also, Chris Jericho
Oh.
Way.
Oh, nice. Nice,
All right, but
nice.
back to the MJF segment. As he's cutting his promo, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin all come out to confront him separately. They all come out, cut different promos
Mm,
about how they deserve a title shot and how MJF is like poisoning the company and he's really toxic and he's taking time away from people who actually deserve it.
mm.
And it's funny, the Darby Allin probably had the hardest lines, and he was like talking about, and like nowadays when talent isn't happy about something, they just go and complain and cry on Twitter about how they want out of their contract and they want to leave the company if they don't get what they want. And he said, "Yeah, the most guilty of that is you, MJF."
Oof. Oof. Tough words.
He was mentioning how like he didn't want to go to any other place besides AEW because AEW gives him something that money can't give him, and that's the freedom to be himself.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Mm.
nine. Yeah, they all had some good stuff in their promos, and they all like made good cases for them to get a title shot. And the segment ended by MJF getting knocked into the table that had his cake on it.
Well, ain't that a damn shame?
Yeah, that cake wasn't even vegan anyway.
But then again, I mean, most celebrations, weddings, and wrestling, they don't end well, so it's not a surprise.
Especially if you're a heel.
Right. You know what that reminds me of? Remember when Triple H won the title at Unforgiven, and the next day he had that big celebration,
Yeah, I
and he had
remember it.
that big cake, and Randy Orton came out and attacked him.
I remember that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
but so it looks like they're kind of planting the seeds for a four-way between these four. And it's funny, these are the four guys who kind of have been painted as like the future of AEW, kind of like the OVW class was for WWE back in the day. These guys are
Yeah.
kind of like painted as like the future of AEW in that sense.
So MJF versus
MJF versus Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Jungle Boy.
right, and you think this would be a double or nothing?
It could be. It's very Possible that it could
I
be.
mean, I don't know. Like before that, I was kind of hoping that Adam Page. It could be Adam Page versus MJF at Double or Nothing. I would love to see that.
But it's looking like now that Adam Page is gonna still be feuding with Moxley in the Blackpool Combat Club. So
Oh, for real?
at least for now, but I mean they could still do Adam Page and MJF down the road. But this four-way does seem intriguing. I definitely
No.
would love to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, and MJF is still showing the results from that Iron Man match. He's still fucked up off of it.
Oh Lord, you saw his eyes? Good
Yeah,
God.
bro, he got busted open by the diving headbutt, man. Yeah,
Sheesh.
he's not going to be well for a long time. Neither is
Look
Brian
like he
Danielson
look like that dude. MJF looked like he'd been through a fight with Rocky.
or Creed.
Jesus. Oh no, no, no! Those bruises in those Rocky movies were worse. Oh,
So it looks like they're moving in that direction for the four-way, possibly a double or nothing. If I
mhm.
can, I want to make it out for that. If I can't go to WrestleMania, that would be the next best thing.
Yeah. When I heard that Double or Nothing was going to be here in Vegas in May, I was like, "Oh snap!" I was like, "All right, let's see how things go, and let's see. Hopefully, I could go again."
Yes, but also let's send our condolences out to Arn Anderson as his son Barrett passed away this past weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
37 years old, almost the same age as me.
Damn.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
terrible, man. So condolences to him and his family. Yeah, that's horrible. It's fucking horrible.
Sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
terrible.
Yeah. Prayers for him and his
And
family.
actually, this
But
year is the 10-year anniversary of when Ric Flair's son died too.
it's been 10 years.
Yeah, this year will be 10 years. This month makes 10 years actually.
Wow.
He was 25 years old.
Damn.
That's stupid young, bro. That is a stupid ass young age to die. Fuck, man.
Way too young. You know,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. I literally just had a friend of mine, a teammate that I played hockey with. He passed away in January, and we just this past weekend was his funeral.
Oh man. Sorry to hear that, man.
And he was only, yeah, I think he was only 31. No, 32. He's only 32 years old, dude. Yeah,
Stupid
so
young.
going,
Stupid young.
yeah, going to the funeral. Like I a lot of my teammates, his teammates were all there. So it was kind of like a hockey reunion, though. But it was this reunion for a bad time, if I'm being honest.
Now you wish it was a reunion under better circumstances.
Right, right.
Yeah, so condolences to Arn Anderson and his family. And it's sad. I actually saw Charlotte post a picture of her, Reed, and also Barrett, Arn Anderson's son, when they were all kids.
Oh wow,
Oh man.
dang.
And speaking of unfortunate deaths, this week marked the anniversary of certain deaths in the wrestling community. As this past Monday was the 14-year anniversary of the death of Andrew Martin, better known as Test.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he was 34 years old too, man. That's
yeah, yeah,
horrible.
yeah. It was a drug overdose, right?
I believe so. Yes. Jim Ross has
Yeah,
alluded to on his podcast many times that Test did have a bad drug problem,
yeah. Hmm.
and also unfortunately he wasn't a dude that lived up to his potential and lived up to, I guess, like what the company hoped he would be.
They were hoping to do that, and I remember like in '99 because I remember they did the whole Tess and Stephanie angle, relationship angle,
Yeah, of course that
and
was
they
like
were
the
hoping, yeah, they
yeah,
were
that was like
hoping
the
that they would
highest
run the,
profile shit that they did with him. Now that I think about it, or close
yeah,
to it.
yeah, and then don't get me wrong, I love the TNA tag team. That was dope. I love that. I think afterwards, I think after like 2001, it wasn't really the same, if I'm being honest. But
Well, he had the Un-American stable that was pretty popping for a while.
yeah,
But I would say his best work was probably that 2001 period, like when he was in the Alliance. I feel like that was like the peak of his career.
yeah, that and TNA. I really love the whole TNA thing he did with Albert and Trish.
Yeah, TNA was cool, but I would say the best things he did was probably that feud with Shane, that
Singles.
feud with Shane
Oh
surrounding
yeah,
Stephanie,
singles performer.
and also
Yeah,
yeah that
yeah,
2001 period. That 2001 period I think was a solid time for him.
yeah. He went in that year. He was the European champion that year. So, and he's Canadian. He's from Toronto.
Yes, he has gone too soon. He also He was in that like revamped ECW briefly, but it didn't last very long. And then that was pretty much his last stint with WWE.
Oh
And then two
yeah.
years later,
Damn, I remember that. Holy crap! Yeah, he faced Bobby Lashley at the Royal Rumble for the top for that ECW title. Even though I didn't care though, but still, yeah, I remember that.
yeah, he was around for
Uh,
that. Then he had that storyline with Stacy Keibler, and when him and Scott Steiner were fighting over her.
oh Lord, I yeah, I was forgot about to mention about that. Oh man,
But for what it's worth, he was a good bad guy. I will say that. I think his best shit was as a heel for the most part.
true, because you saw more of him as a character.
Yeah, like he
So
was more believable in that sense. But yes, rest in peace to him. Gone
true.
too soon. And also, Tuesday was the 1 year anniversary of the death of Scott Hall.
Damn. You know, it's crazy. We're always gonna remember March 14th as the anniversary day for WrestleMania 20, though. But it's also the day that Scott Hall passed away.
Yes, it is, unfortunately, and crazy. It's been a year. Kevin Nash even posted a picture of like his of Scott Hall's tombstone. You're basically like reminiscing on the whole last year, and he just basically said it's just another day without my buddy here.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Kevin Nash. He lost his best friend and lost his son in the same year. It's freaking terrible.
Damn.
But yeah, man, it's crazy. It's been a whole year since that whole thing happened, and I remember just being devastated when that the news officially came. I mean, you kind of knew it was coming from the news that had been coming out a few days ahead of time, but then when I saw that graphic at the beginning of Raw that he was officially gone, I'm like, fuck, man, this is not good.
Damn.
Even though it ended sooner than we would have liked it to, and even though he's not here anymore, you can't help but reflect on the good times and the good memories that he did give us when he was here.
Yeah, I just love the fact he did get his life back on track before he was getting his life back on track, and then we heard that happen. It's like, man, you know what I mean? So,
Well, at least he had that few year
uh,
period of redemption, like where we got to go in the Hall of Fame. He had a better relationship with his
yeah,
kids. Yeah, he was doing better. At
yes,
least he did have that, even though his life ended the way it did. At least he was able to have that.
yeah, true, true, true.
Yes, but before we get out of here, also one thing I wanted to mention is that some of the Hall of Fame inductees have been announced, and as of last Friday, the first inductee is going to be Rey Mysterio.
Yes, and oh my god, don't you kind of find it weird, Kurt? Like, man, like all these wrestlers that we've seen grow, that we've grown up. It's like, damn, we see them in TV every week, almost all the time. And now all of a sudden, now they're in the Hall of Fame. It's just like, where has the time gone, man? And then, I met Rey Mysterio back in 2004, and it's just like, I'm really happy for him, man, because him being from San Diego, and seeing him since WCW, and just I remember when he came into the WWE, how excited I was to see him. I was and to see him in a Hall of Fame now. Just so genuinely like happy for him, man. Like,
I think this is only like the
yeah.
third time they're actually putting like an active performer in the Hall of Fame.
Mm.
The other times being Ric Flair in 2008 and Goldberg in 2018.
Yeah, let's hope that Ray has a good night. That he wins, and you know what I mean.
Well, let's just hope Dominic doesn't interrupt his speech.
Good lord! And and speaking of that, because it was announced that Conan was going to induct Rey Mysterio in the Hall of Fame, so I think that was the right
Did you
choice.
say Conan or Conan? Conan O'Brien?
No, not no Conan. Sorry,
I was gonna say, bro, I didn't know him and Conan O'Brien were that tight.
no, sorry, but no, yeah, he's going to induct him in the Hall of Fame, and I think that's the right
He's the right
choice.
person.
Yeah.
Him and Conan go way back. Conan was basically the dude who broke him in, like kind of
Yes.
like helped him get gigs initially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go way back since
Yeah.
WCW.
Before that, bro, like when Ray was a
Oh,
teenager, like when he was in Mexico, Conan helped get
oh,
him on.
wow.
Yeah, they go way back.
Right choice.
Yeah, that's why I think he's the right person to do it. I don't think there's any other person who would be right for that, except for Eddie if he were still
Nice.
alive. Yeah, Conan's the right guy for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
also, I heard the reason why they put Rey Mysterio as the headliner this year is because unfortunately Batista won't be able to make it this year.
Oh, I was hoping Batista was going to get inducted this year.
It would have made sense because it's going to be in the same city where he won the title at WrestleMania 21.
Oh man, I was so hoping that it's going to be Batista going to be inducted. Oh man,
But he's filming a movie in South Africa, so he's not going to be able to make it.
hopefully next year. Let's hope for next year. So.
Yeah, it's possible. And also, it was in the Ric Flair announced yesterday on the bump that the Great Muta will also be going into the Hall of Fame this year as well.
Oh, okay.
There's this one classic shot of Muta like spraying the mist into Flair's face, and holy shit, he covers everything. He covers Flair's literally the whole face.
Dang. A lot of the Japanese wrestlers, they love using the mist. Him,
Tajiri,
Tajiri.
Asuka.
Yeah, man, that's very. I noticed that's a very like a Japanese wrestler thing. So
Think the mist. I think Bianca's gonna get the mist in her face at Mania.
for real,
Of course. I feel like the way they've been. I
oh
feel like the way they've
boy,
been teasing this the last few weeks, it's bound to happen. And I think that even though Bianca just officially became the longest black champion in WWE history, and that includes all champions, that reign comes to an end at Mania at the hands of Asuka.
I feel it.
And then I think it's going to be a slow heel turn from then on afterwards.
For Bianca?
Yeah, bro, I think it's going to happen after Mania. Maybe not right after
Oh.
Mania, but sometime this year.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Because she was a heel in NXT, and I kind of feel like they've gotten as far as they can with her in the whole babyface role, and specifically with her opponents. So I feel like a heel turn would be like a nice refresh for her.
Okay. To see what happens and to see what else rest lies for the build up to Mania.
Yes, so 2.5 weeks away, and we still have a few SmackDowns and Raws left to go beforehand. So hopefully they can continue to build on the good storylines they have now and make it better for the ones that aren't as interesting right now too.
Mm.
But yes, the road to WrestleMania is in full swing. 2.5 weeks away, and it can't come soon enough.
Can't wait, man. I'm thinking about it every day now. Just I'm excited. I still can't believe I'm still going, and I'm looking forward to it. And I can't wait.
You remind me of 2012, Kurt. That's exactly how I was feeling. I'm telling you, bro. It'll be 2 nights that you will never forget. I promise. 2 nights that you will never forget.
I believe you. I believe you. Such a fact, it's in LA, it's in Hollywood too, boy.
Bro, I'm telling you,
I never thought
the first WrestleMania I went to being 28 after not watching wrestling for 6 years and going back for that to be a part of a Mania for the first time. That was definitely one of the best nights of my life. Definitely one of the best nights of my life.
Oh man!
All right, but with that being said, for John Randall,
wait.
This is Kirk Cadet for another edition of the Clash of the Champions. We will see you guys next week. Take care, God bless, and all that good shit. Good night.